Hey guys, Looter here. We're gonna do a MSI 2021 pro view of Wei from RNG. He picked Rumble Jungle against UL in the day 3 of Breakout, so we're just gonna take a look at what he does in the jungle on Rumble and analyze it a little bit. I'll talk about things that I find, and maybe if I miss anything, you can let me know in the comment section, and we can figure out how the best in the world play our beloved Rumble in the jungle. I'll link the channel in the description where I got this VOD from. Because the Pro Views, they got rid of them for NA. It's only in China now, so I can only get them off Chinese channels on YouTube. So they're pretty hard to come by these days. So I was really happy to find the RNG Wei pop-off Rumble performance against UL. So right away we see something kind of interesting. Traditionally, what teams do in pro play, this is just from competitive experience from playing collegiate, but what we see a lot of times is we see mid laner stands here, jungle stands here, and then we have top stands here. But what we're seeing instead is they're sending out the jungle to do all the scouting on his own, and then these take a defensive position. So it's a little bit different right from the get-go. And jungle doesn't usually hold the first position here. This is called five pointing. And what five pointing does is essentially it prevents people from invading because you can spot them out before you're in any danger. And if you see the people invading, you just back off and you're completely fine. But they decided to send Wei in the middle instead of Orianna, which is pretty interesting. And I think the reason why is they wanted this lane swap. See how Orianna's going top and Lee Sin's going here? So that's really interesting because if you send Orianna straight mid, then they pretty much know that Cassidy should know that it's just, Orianna right away. But I guess they felt that it was a more favorable matchup for Lee Sin to smash Cassidy in that matchup because it's a really hard matchup for Cassidy to face Lee Sin. So they successfully got that lane swap off by sending jungle mid. So it's a small thing, but really important. I just want to go back for a second here because Wei did something really interesting on the first camp. I don't know if you noticed, but he overheated with W level 1 here. And the only way to achieve this is by taking the CDR rune. That was horrible. That's CPR. The CDR. The CDR rune essentially allows you to overheat level 1 with W because W is a 6-second cooldown, right? But with the CDR rune, it's about like 5.4, I think. Something like that. And that allows you to actually overheat level 1, which is really, really cool because you don't normally see anyone do this actually. Um, so really cool stuff from Wei. Gives a huge advantage for him because obviously with the new update on Rumble, the 50% attack speed on overheat, you can't achieve this on any other ability other than W. So uh, really cool that Wei spotted that out and got that little overheat on the first buff to give him even faster and healthier clear. So he's just going to clear wolves now. Doesn't seem to care too much about panning between the lanes because I think the communicate. Oh, there he goes. He pans mid lane. Looks at the wave state mid. Got a bit of a minion block there. Something interesting that I learned from Chinese player Knight from Top Esports. What he talked about is this is a really, really fine-tuned thing. But see what Wei did here? When you move the minion like this, actually, um, it lets this person know when the jungler crossed this way. So the top best players in the world, like maybe like Chovy, like Showmaker, Faker, you know, Knight, obviously the person who's talking about this, he says like if the jungler runs into the minion like this, he knows actually like because it's supposed to be standing here right now, but now it's like standing further back here, right? It's not this consistent one, two, you know? It's a really consistent line. This minion's supposed to be a little further up, right? It actually lets the enemy mid laner know that the jungler crossed paths here. So very, very minor mistake from Wei. Probably by most players in the world, it's not even noticeable. You're probably not even thinking about it. But I did hear about some players being able to spot this really subtle detail. Is there any sound to this? Oh, there is. Cool. The Chinese rumble sounds. Oh, interesting. So instead of going for the Krugs next, they're looking for a level 3 dive play bottom. This is really ambitious, honestly. They have a lot of tempo here because Kassadin and Nocturne needed to swap, right? Kassadin probably having to burn his TP here, and that's all they were looking for. They aren't looking for anything more. I don't think so anyways. Oh, okay. Wow. Really bold play from RNG. And they pull it off as well. That took a lot of commitment, and Orianna loses essentially nothing in the top lane. Huge tempo swing for RNG. So this play was orchestrated way before it even happened. So this play was probably called like somewhere around like here-ish. Probably somewhere around here this play was called. Ball lane's probably like, hey, we're creating a slow push, right? Kassadin's gonna need to recall, right? Go top. Nocturne's probably gonna come mid to match Lee Sin because they don't want this. So they see Kassadin start walking top, right? And at this point, they're probably like, yeah, let's commit to this play. After I take red buff, let's dive bottom. Nocturne just came mid. They're behind in tempo. Fast forward a little bit. He doesn't even like think about going to Krugs, you know? You can tell by his pathing. He's pulling the red buff this way, so he's already thought about this play way ahead of time. Lee Sin's there ahead of time in advance. They make the play through the TP too, which is really impressive. I thought all they were going for was the little TP here, but Nautilus is able to tank tower really well, lands that key hook, and they get the play done. Very big swing. And they get bot scuttle, river control on top of all that. I would think that I guess Nidalee wouldn't have had time to take his Gromp, right? It's been up for a little bit now, but I don't think she would have had time to take it, unless if she really overextended. Okay, so she does overextend, but he smites it away from her and gets the kill. I thought it would have been a little ambitious for Nidalee to go for that. This is a complete blind review, by the way. I have not watched this game. This is completely just me watching this game along with this gameplay for the very first time. Just kind of letting you guys know what I'm thinking as I'm watching this. So really good play from Wei. I thought he was going to be a little bit late to the Gromp if Nidalee went for it. I didn't think Nidalee should go for it. I thought even if she does get the Gromp, she loses too much. She's really behind, has to walk all the way back to her jungle after that, loses a lot of tempo just for one Gromp. And Wei gets, you know, an entire dive off bottom and gets to reset. So I thought it was a bad play from Nidalee, but I thought she was going for it regardless. But really didn't expect Wei to pick up a kill on top of that. Huge jungle gap at the moment. And they're just repeating this play again. They know Nocturne's TP is down. Nidalee's just come off respawn, so she's a little late. And it's just another dive from RNG. Doesn't go as clean, but let's see why it doesn't go so clean. Oh, okay. So Nautilus actually ate that hook, and I think he went a little bit early. I think they could have waited for a rumble to get in position till around here. There's no rush, right? They know Nidalee's coming off spawn. Nocturne's a little bit MIA, right? But he's not level 6, so they don't need to worry about that. They know he has no TP. I think they just got a little bit too quick here. A little bit too quick. Needed to wait for Rumble to come in and help with this play. And as you can see, Nautilus gets tagged with both Varus Q and Nidalee Q, and that costs him his life. Could have been a clean dive. I think the play was the right idea. The execution was just a little bit off. Already 4 Dark Harvest stacks from Wei on Rumble too. That's really, really good. On top of getting 5 stacks on his Dark Seal, he's in a really good position now. And he has his jungle item complete, so he's in a really good spot here. This is the first time he's clearing Krugs, if I'm not mistaken. I believe this is his first clear, because after he did Scuttle, he did the reset into top, right? To match Nidalee's, him taking Nidalee's Gromp. maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe he took one earlier, but I think that was his first one. You can see Ming, their support, timing the summoners here. That's really important. I recommend everyone do this. I started doing it about a year ago in my games, and it not only like helps you with like helping your teammates out on, you know, knowing when the flash timers are coming up and stuff, but it also like actively helps you think about like these flash timers, right? If you don't time them, then you aren't really thinking about them too much. It's more the practice of like, oh, this person's flash is down, like what kind of play can I make? Rather than like just spamming the number just to spam it and look cool, you know? Look how fast Rumble's clear is now. Looks like he's giving... This is another thing about Rumble Jungle, right? You can always give blue buff over to your mid laner, who's almost always going to be a mana champion, or your top laner. And that's huge, because like, how many like manaless junglers can clear like this and have this kind of impact? You could say like Shyvana is one of the manaless junglers that clears really fast, but she doesn't have nearly the same impact that Rumble does as a champion, so... Or the flex capability. The reason why Rumble's so strong in the jungle right now is because he can be played mid and top in a really high tier. So I think jungle is his best role right now. However, like, he has some really good melee matchups mid, and top lane, as long as it's a counter pick, you're completely fine there as well. So it gives a lot of versatility in draft. Lee Sin going for that aggressive bot dive again. Wei wasting a little bit of time here. I don't know what the thought process was there. He was kind of walking around in river. Didn't seem like he fully decided what he wanted to do. But maybe he was just trying not to show so that Lee Sin could dive bottom. That could also be the case. Maybe if he showed too early, then they would have expected Lee Sin to come. I could see something like that too. He just wanted to stay out of vision a little bit before showing mid. Because as soon as he shows mid, then it kind of lets the other team know that, hey, Lee Sin's not going to be mid if jungler's farming mid, so let's carry for him bot. I could see that being the thought process. Another thing I find interesting is this Merc Tread Rush. They do have a decent amount of CC on the enemy team, and a lot of AP. So maybe that's the reasoning behind it? I'm not entirely sure. Usually I rush Sork Boots, but he went straight for the Merc Boots before any other item, so... That is very interesting. Playing a very clean game so far, though. Matching is, he's like walking to the camps as they spawn sometimes, which cuts down a lot of time. On the new patch, though, I think there's going to be a 15 second longer timer before the camps are coming up, so it gives you a lot more downtime. I don't know how that's going to affect Rumble Jungle, but we'll have to see. The smite is really good for the Rumble Jungle because you can smite Scuttle Crab and get rid of the shield without having to do hard CC to it, so you can take Scuttle a lot faster now. There's a kill onto Nocturne. Wei playing a clean game, really outclassing the enemy Nidalee at the moment. I mean, they are the best Chinese team in the world, like, I expect nothing less, you know, but this is cool. I've never watched Wei's POV before. One thing he does not do as much as I was expecting is he doesn't use his F keys, like, nearly at all. This is something that I see a lot in, like, you know, Korean pro players. Faker, for example, like, notorious for spamming F keys the entire time. But Wei kind of just pans his camera instead, which is like, you know, like he's using F keys a little bit there, but he really doesn't use it too much. He's more focused on what's in front of him, which, you know, a lot of coaches would disagree with, but he left clicks the map and drags his mouse across the screen a lot more than using F keys, so something to note. I don't know. I mean, he's obviously one of the best junglers in the world, so I'm not going to critique that too hard, but it is something interesting to note. Going for the alternator into Night Harvester. Night Harvester feels like one of those items in jungle where when you're ahead, it feels so good. Like, so good. You're just mowing people. But when you're behind, it feels really bad. So I don't know what the jungle item should be when you're behind, because I really feel like people are making the mistake of going an Eye Harvester. No, I didn't talk to it, but I saw Went Rumble also saying the same thing about this item. When you're like behind, it feels like kind of crap. Like it really doesn't feel good at all, especially in the jungle. Mid lane's okay, but jungle with like Dark Harvest doesn't feel that great. So maybe I have to look into other item options. I know Riftmaker is getting a massive buff this coming patch, and that item I thought would be really good on Rumble on release, but ended up being just not that great because the ramp up is too long. But now that they're cutting down the ramp up time to get the passive going on that item, it should be really good on Rumble again. So maybe we look at trying out those items again instead of just always building the alternator items. Another clean gank from Rumble. I mean, the game's pretty much over at this point. Like, the only like the only Hail Mary that UL has is like the Kassadin scaling, because I believe looking at RNG's team comp, they do struggle a little bit with the tools to deal with a late game Kassadin. They have the Nautilus ult, but that can be countered by Zonia's pretty easily. And that's pretty much it, honestly. Kassadin can walk over the rest of this team quite well. The only thing is they're matched with like a Nocturne and a Nidalee, which isn't going to do that great late game into this team. So it's going to be really hard for UL to come back into this game. I don't know how much time's left on this VOD. Like, yeah, we're about halfway through. There's probably about 10 minutes left on this game till RNG just completely take over the map and get these turrets, take enemy jungle, choke them out, and take Baron, win the game or something. I do like how Wei has been consistently clearing top to bottom too. He knows that the win condition has been this entire time to dive bottom and kind of make that the main issue. Even though it has been a Kassadin top, Kassadin post 6 is like pretty much impossible for Rumble to gank, right? Pre 6 you can argue that you can make ganks up there, but like the win con isn't to get one kill on Kassadin and then Orianna stomps him. Like that's not how that matchup works at all. But if you're able to stomp bottom and have this Nautilus Callista like completely take over the game, that's like the win condition, you know? And sometimes junglers like misidentify this, and I feel that a lot as a laner. I'm a mid laner, not a jungler, but I do feel that a lot where the jungler's putting the pressure in the wrong spot just because it gives them like a small little easy early lead, but doesn't translate to something much bigger later, right? What Wei and RNG did really successfully here was create a game plan that not only gives them a lead early, but also can be translated into a win quite easily. So really well done from RNG and Wei to pull this off properly this game. They kind of like faked them out with that lane swap, showing like, hey, we're going to put Kassadin topside, a really, you know, slow, weak early pre-6 champion that is really gank prone. So he has to be really careful in top lane, and then they completely like, you know, reverted that by playing completely bot side and having Kassadin playing the top. Oh, that poor Nocturne. Worth 170 gold. Wow. That's tough. There's actually a purpose to overheat on towers now, eh? In the past, like, there was no point in overheating on towers because you don't get any bonus damage on them, even though it feels like you should. But now with the attack speed, there's actually like a really good reason to overheat while you're pushing tower. And a good way to do this, like, I know he doesn't do it here because there's just too many people and no minions, but let me just explain. If you're pushing a tower like this, you should be standing either here or here and have your flame spitter pointing this way, right? Or pointing this way, so that you're hitting the minions with your Q the same time as you're overheating. So you're wave clearing and hitting the tower at the same time. I don't see too many people do this, but I think it's something that people should start doing as Rumble players, if you haven't done it already. Ooh, big shutdown for the Kassadin. I don't think it means anything, but... Ooh, 2 kills for the Kassadin. That is their only win con, so UL probably feels pretty good about that, but it shouldn't mean anything. Like, RNG are just so ahead at this point. Okay, what was the jungle? Let's see this. RNG Cryan has been playing weak side pretty much the entire game, so it's expected that he doesn't have the best score right now, but he has really good farm. Gala and Ming completely stomping bot lane. Yeah, Nomaz on UL is pretty much the only Nomans is the only win condition for for UL, and it's not looking too hot. Nocturne Leona kind of running it, and that's not entirely Nocturne and Leona's fault. It's just RNG's game plan completely revolved around screwing those two over, and they did it really successfully. So it's a team game after all. Kessin has no flash till 21 minutes as well, according to Ming's little timer there, so. I'm just gonna speed this up a little bit here. They're on to Dragon. So, I've talked about this in the past, but just to kind of go over another concept that not many people think about, is once you kill this mid tower, what it does is it creates space, right? And what does space do? It gives you this opportunity to enter these jungle camps right here, right? So you're able to push the wave all the way up to here, and then now you have these entry points. These entry points don't exist without this mid tower being taken, right? So what you're seeing RNG do here is now that they've gotten the turret, they're going to create a big wave here, right? They're going to push to this. If they're not going to take the tower, then they're going to start moving into these areas and start taking the jungle. So this entire jungle, here and here, if played correctly by the team, should belong to Rumble now. Or not just Rumble, but like to RNG. Nidalee should not be able to farm any of these camps anymore. And that's something that Riot's trying to address right now with the new jungle changes, because this is why junglers fall so far behind, because the whole team punishes your jungle unlike any other lane. Like every other lane, like if you lose a tower, then you can just sit back and farm even safer, you know, under the tower. But jungle, like you just lose your jungle, so there's no tower to protect you, so that's why the jungle changes are coming in this patch. So we'll see how those go. They're gonna allow jungle XP, catch-up XP to come back a little bit. Because right now jungle is a very snowbally role. You're just seeing Rumble like completely take over the game with his team, where Nidalee just literally can't do anything. She can't farm, she can't, you know, get any levels off anything. Like she's useless. So sure, she's level 11, but like so weak. Now you're gonna see RNG pushes up the wave, takes the jungle on the exit, and it's just gonna be a rinse and repeat of this until they crack open the base or take Baron. So Nidalee's trying to get something, you know, like she's just any scraps that she can get. Wow, nice play from Lee Sin. Kassadin was waiting here to R over, you can see. He was waiting to R over because otherwise Lee Sin would just follow with Q. But then he waited too long and Lee Sin was actually able to get the kick so Kassadin couldn't R in time to get the execution done. That was beautiful. Yeah, look at this jungle. This jungle belongs to RNG, man. Like, Nidalee can't get anything. This is Wei's jungle, man. Anyone that walks in is either dead or just, yeah, they're just dead. there's no or. They're dead if they walk in to this space. This no longer belongs to UL space. So it's just a rinse and repeat of this process, really. They're just pushing out waves, getting camps on the exit, catching anyone that walks in, and this time there's no camps to take, so they take Baron instead. Really clean play from RNG. This is like textbook League of Legends right here. This is how you win games as a competitive team. Really simple way. Nothing fancy. Just pushing out waves safely, falling back, slowly gaining leads by taking enemy jungle, and you just completely choke them out with resources and opportunities. So the game probably ends pretty soon, off maybe potentially even off this Baron. They're just gonna push this out, probably take an inhib, fall back, take bot tower or something. Maybe take some camps along the way if they feel that's necessary. Yeah, they're just playing so clean. Not giving you all any opportunities to come back into the game. Some people might say this is like too safe, but this is like pretty much a guaranteed win. They're just playing like, you know, safe chess, basically. Giving the enemy no chances to make any moves, just 0 blunders. Oh my goodness. Goodbye, Leona. They just Mia pinger. Look at that. They know. This game's a wrap. They're just gonna say screw the top inhib, we're just gonna end the game here. They got a big wave coming in from bottom. They taste blood. Rumble zoning ulti. Really nice Q Zonias from Wei. Flashes forward. And a 9-0-10 in MSI, man. Wow. What a performance.
Professor is an in-game...
Oh, that's an ad. Alright guys. Well, that's the review. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you in the next pro view. I think I'm going to do a mid lane pro view next. But there's also a few more jungle performances like Canyon on Damwon Kia. So maybe I'll do that one too. Let me know if you enjoyed it or if you spotted anything that I missed. Let me know in the comments so I can learn myself. And I hope you have a great day. Peace.